Ringing the Bell, Episode 1. Is entrepreneurship the future? Welcome to the first episode of Ringing the Bell, a podcast coming to you live from beautiful Hebron Academy. I'm your host, Ian Toval, and I couldn't be more excited to be part of this project. Hebron Academy is an independent 6th through post-grad school located in scenic Hebron, Maine. We sit on over 1,500 acres of rolling countryside. At Hebron Academy, our mission is to inspire and guide students to reach their highest potential in mind, body, and spirit. We are very excited to be bringing you this podcast, which is all student-run. Miss Alt's audio recording class is doing all of the recording and mastering and created the intro and outro music. We wanted our first episode to represent what Hebron is all about. Today I'll be joined by 3 other people who all have ties with Hebron. We have Calvin Bates, who is the entrepreneurship teacher, one of his students, Rica Wong, who is a senior, and then Katherine Ducharme, who was graduating class of 2021. Guys, thanks for being here. If you all want to just introduce yourselves for our audience, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Ian. I'm Calvin Bates, or Mr. Bates, as some students call me. I'm the economics and entrepreneurship teacher. I'm excited to hear more about Catherine's business.
Awesome, Calvin. So my name is Katherine Ducharme. I'm a recent graduate of Hebron Academy, and I have my own local tech startup business that kind of brings food delivery services and technology together.
I'm Rica Wong. I'm from Hong Kong, and I grew up with my parents both being entrepreneurs, so I do know a lot about the field, and also being a close friend of Catherine's. I have seen her process. I've helped her a little bit, sometimes with graphic design and her advertisements, and yeah, I just really love entrepreneurship.
Awesome. Well, thank you all 3 for being here. So yeah, let's get started. So Catherine, just kind of go into what your business is, how you started it, and I know you started it during a pandemic, so how was that, and how did the idea come about?
Sure. So basically around May of 2020, when we were all sent home, stuck in quarantine, I saw a lot of my neighbors were really struggling to get the groceries that they needed or to get takeout food. So I just offered, as a friendly neighborhood offer, to go to grocery stores, pick up their food for them, go out to restaurants and deliver it, really at no charge. But once I started doing this, I realized there's actually a market for a lot of these restaurants that don't need to have such close ties to third-party services like Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, etc., that take such large marginal profits away from these businesses, especially during a pandemic. So that's when I kind of started getting into partnerships. One of our big partnerships is actually with Cane's Donuts, which has 3 different retail branches around Massachusetts and Boston and Saugus, and we do a lot of their donut deliveries for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So part of being an entrepreneur is obviously thinking of an idea and running with it. So how, from when you started to now where you are, how has that process been for you, and how has it grown? Because I know you've grown quite a bit since May of 2020.
Yeah, it's been a long road for sure. We used to be called Hungry Headers Delivery because I live in a town called Marblehead right on the water, and we call people born in the town headers, so we kind of put that together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we're kind of coastal, right next to Salem, Massachusetts. You have to really go out of your way if you want to get there, so these delivery services that they have usually don't even stretch that far anyway, so it was kind of the perfect idea. Sorry, do you mind repeating that question? I went off on a little tangent.
Oh yeah, and from when you started to now, how has that process been for you, and how has the growth been for you over the last year?
Sure. So obviously last year I was here finishing up my senior year, so it was a little bit of back and forth to home because it's not too far of a drive. So it was really learning how to manage the team that I had back home, learn how to manage a group of people, how to hire and find the right group of people, because obviously, I mean, staffing is a huge issue in hundreds, thousands of companies, but you really need to find the right people who you know you can work with, who can work together, and especially during the pandemic when communication is all virtual. Some of these people on my team I hadn't even met in person, so working around that was really a big thing. And something else, the reason we changed and rebranded from Hungry Headers to what we call now KYHU, which is an acronym that stands for Keep Your Head Up, is because around early June of this past summer, I had an investor come to me who had a app built. And their idea was basically they wanted to create an app that helped people understand what was going on in the local food world around them, meaning what businesses were open, what their hours were, any specials that they were offering, if there were any restrictions regarding COVID, etc. And we basically combined my delivery services with the local partnerships with their technology.
That's really neat to like. Okay, you're kind of like a one-stop shop for anything that has to do with like restaurants and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of our big ideas that we've been working on and that we're kind of trying to pitch right now is the concept of social ordering, meaning the whole world is really based off of social media right now, especially younger generations, but it's carried. It doesn't matter what age you are now, there's something for everyone of all ages. And our society is kind of wired to the whole hop on the bandwagon concept. And when you're talking about food, you hear from like your friends, oh, we have to try this place out, or stay away, or there's this really good dish at a certain place. So whether it's a retail, a non-retail business, sit-down restaurants, etc., we're trying to create a social ordering platform that really helps people understand, first of all, what these places offer, and second of all, what's popular based on what everyone else is ordering.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So like, how have you used like social media to kind of like push forward like KYHU or Hungry Headers? Like, do you use like Instagram, Facebook, like LinkedIn maybe?
Yeah, so right now Instagram and Facebook are kind of our main proprietors, which is also really helpful because the local businesses that we have partnerships with also have their social media. So it's kind of, if we offer some sort of promotion, those businesses can also promote us. And being small businesses and us being a startup, even if we're working with more established businesses like Cane's Donuts or Eat Well Kitchen is another one right out of my hometown. Even if we're working with them and they're pretty well established, the social media aspect and getting the marketing out, doing CMO work is all really important.
So like for hiring, like who do you usually hire? Like what's your target? Hiring like college students, high school students? Are they all from like the same town? Do they only deliver within their towns, or do they go from like town to town, just depending on who asks them to deliver?
Sure. So in regards to delivery, like I kind of mentioned, this past month has really been less service focused and more entrepreneurial, building the business behind the scenes kind of work. Because delivery business, while it's been proven really helpful to some of these local businesses, offering an outlet that doesn't take large percentages of their profit, it's also something that's really hard to scale, which maybe is something you've talked about in your economics class. Not quite sure if you've looked at that.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that actually, because I feel like one of your big draws for your company is that it's so local, and scaling kind of conflicts with being like a local company that serves like your local restaurant. So I was wondering, are you trying to expand outward, or are you trying to focus more on local? Like, what's your plan on?
Yeah, like adding on to Mr. Bates' question, like if you scaled like a local type like oriented business, how will you scale it to like regional or then like national?
Definitely.
How would you do that?
Yeah, those are all both great questions that coincide with each other. I would say cautiously. Obviously, we just talked about scaling services can be really difficult. So an idea that we have kind of come up with that we're working on is that, like I started Hungry Headers within my little town of Marblehead, we will offer the platform for other local entrepreneurs, like students, college students maybe, to kind of offer their own delivery services in their own specific area. So when you talk about DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, like that's nationwide, but it's all the same. It's the same, like, prices, the same percentages. So it doesn't matter if you're at some top-notch place out in LA or you're at a small hometown non-retail business out of, say, Maine, for example. Those profits and margins should be based on like the average income in the areas and all of these other factors, but it's not. So if we were able to offer a platform where other people, such like young entrepreneurs aspiring, could have their own platform to offer delivery services just within their own town, because it is something that is profitable. If you know how to work around it and work with your hometown's niches, it's very profitable. And something that we found out is we actually tried, I live right on the water, like I mentioned, we tried boat services, like boat deliveries.
That's so cool.
It doesn't, yeah.
Jet skis?
No, that would be cool.
In Hong Kong, we have a Pizza Hut on jet skis to like junk boat parties, and it's so funny.
That is
Sometimes
something to think
amazing.
about.
we ordered like pizza on a junk boat, and it just came and it was raining. I felt so bad, but it was so funny to look at.
That's something to think about for sure. No, we had a local boat driver, and we had like a origin point where we meet them with our deliveries, and they bring them out to the different moorings. They were much more knowledgeable with the boat aspect and knowing where to find everything, but we did some like time trials to see how long it would take, and that was something that
Was it worth it?
it was kind of worth it.
As a
Yeah.
learning experience or like a market to tap into?
Yes and yes. I think because my hometown's kind of short on the pickup, it's gonna take longer, and it's something that definitely could be relaunched next summer if you build up the hype for it around this time. It's definitely worth revisiting the idea, especially since we have our the app platform to use it on.
Is there like service?
No, exactly. So like I said, if someone wanted to start their own delivery service, we called the girl who we had working for us, her name was Sophie. So we did Sophie's Mooring Delivery. And she used our app to cycle through the deliveries that were coming into her. So she had access to like the Slack messages that were going right into, and could directly message the customers through our different, we use Haymarket as one of the main streamlines we used. But yeah, like you said, it is. It's a service. It's giving someone else that opportunity.
So
Yeah.
can I just ask about
Yeah.
something specific about that?
Sure.
Are you selling other young entrepreneurs like a model to use, and then they go and do their own thing, or are you bringing them under like an umbrella where they are ultimately like reporting back to you and under your company?
It's
Like
honest.
a liaison
Sure.
type like relationship?
Honestly, kinda. We're still working out all of those details, but I, as a young entrepreneur, really want to be able to give other young entrepreneurs that guidance, not necessarily hand-holding, but give them a base platform to work off of, and then they can kind of customize it to the needs of their specific town.
How will they know that this service for like being nurtured as an entrepreneur is going to be part of KYHU? Like, since KYHU is mainly known as an app that for food delivery right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
How will they reach out and be like, hey, can I help out? Or is it purely just for like if someone is interested, they would contact you on Instagram, personally like email and be like, hey, I think this is really cool, can I help out too? or is it just for deliverers?
Well, we have a lot of ideas going out, as you can tell, it's like a tad overwhelming, which is what we're trying to really,
Finalize that.
we're trying to conceal the ideas into a specific market, which is why we've been doing so much behind the scenes work and slowing down on the services. Just lost my train of thought. You were asking about how people know.
How younger entrepreneurs would know of this service.
So it would kind of be like, when you sign up with the POS systems, they have like Seamless and Toast Tab and all those things. All of these businesses, most of the ones that we use, run their IPA through these POS systems. So it's kind of something that you sign up for and basically run through a subscription kind of methodology. And that could be promoted again through social media, word of mouth, and other articles that come out about us, for sure.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Seems like your business plan is really aligned with like the mission and like ethos of your company, like being local.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that you're not just like expanding. I like that you're like kind of almost giving the idea to other people and like selling them this package of like a model to do it with.
Exactly, because if you think about it, there are so many places that have the need for deliveries. Not sure quite around this area, but I mean, even if Hebron, like, if there were local college students around here going to like CMCC or whatever, and they saw that we had this opportunity, that they had the opportunity using our platform to offer delivery from local restaurants, because around here it's basically like, oh, you want to go somewhere, it's like 40 minutes any direction if you want to get anything. So I mean, someone can make a killing if they deliver to Hebron students all week.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that.
Exactly.
As a student, I'm hungry.
And it doesn't even
I'm for food.
it doesn't even just have to be restaurants around. I know there's like Chipotle and Panera around the Auburn area, but it could also be go to Hannaford and deliver some groceries. Again, you can have different percentages on those compared to just like a flat rate pickup from a restaurant to percentages if you have to do physical shopping in stores.
Yeah.
Which is something that we offered, especially when it was a scary time for people to go out and do their own shopping.
Yeah. I think one thing that comes to mind, so you are going to be a freshman at Temple, right?
Yeah.
And decided to take a gap here to focus on this. And I think that's a huge question that I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs have. And, whether when they get an idea and it's going like really well like yours, like, is it worth going to college? Is it worth taking a gap year? Like, can you walk us through kind of how you went through that process and like kind of taking that leap of faith with, the company you started to like, be like, I'm going to run with this first and see how that goes?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to correct one more thing. I just decided to take the first semester
okay,
off.
perfect.
Yeah. And part of that is because I was actually at Temple University. They have this thing called TRE, which is Temple Rome Entry Year, meaning I get to spend my whole first year in Italy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's just for the only first year students. They take 15 of them to spend their first year. So making that decision was definitely tough for me, especially after hard years in the past and coming up after graduation. But I made the ultimate decision, I guess, because I just really trusted my gut instinct that this was something that I could work towards. And it was kind of like my baby. It wasn't something I could just abandon.
Right.
And we didn't have the right team to run everything, which is something we're now building and working on funding and everything, because services will drain you of your funding if you ever start your own startup and include services.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I'm really excited, and I've been gaining so much experience. I've been learning terms like CTO, CMO, just learning about pitch decks and how we have like an MVP, we have our minimum viable product. See, I didn't know any of these things. I kind of took on the led by example with my business partner that I have currently. And it's been a really great experience because these are all things I'd be learning because I'm studying business at school. So
Right.
Just as valuable.
yeah,
That's really great.
exactly. And knock on wood, but if all else fails, I can keep on my resume forever that I had a startup and built an app that had 500 users within the first month of launching.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So cool.
Especially for such a small town.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really proud of you for making that decision, definitely, because you also got your wisdom teeth out before. Wait, no.
My tonsils
tonsillitis.
out. Yeah.
Tonsillitis.
That was.
You had tonsillitis the week before you were gonna fly, and you couldn't fly.
Yeah.
So you're just like, the world was telling me no, maybe I shouldn't go. And I was like, yeah, just don't go.
Yeah. Exactly. Just don't go.
Just take it off. It's such a great opportunity. I was talking about it with your grandpa too. Like, it's so amazing that you could build something from something so local, like a cool origin story, and you're gaining almost like maybe even more than you could learn in the first semester.
Definitely.
Abroad.
Definitely. And I needed this time, like I mentioned, to build the right team and have the right people that you can trust before going to Italy. Going all the way over there. It's not just like I'm going to Temple's campus in Philadelphia. I'm going to a completely different country across the world. So it's something that I'm excited to have that college experience, especially the abroad experience, and get to use those skills, but also know that it's in good hands here.
You're a big fan of Italy, right?
Yeah.
I want to dive in a little more about, because you talk about like building the right team, and I feel like that's a huge part of, you know, when you're creating a company, making sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. And like, you know, how did you find those right people? Are the people that were in your life already? You know, did you do a lot of pitches? Like, I know a lot of the young entrepreneurs don't even know like where to start. So
Sure. So we did have a lot of virtual opportunities that we use different platforms like Handshake to get people from different colleges, either local or just well known for their business programs. So that's how we kind of found people to help us out with the marketing, the social media, and doing more of the behind the scenes operator work while we'd have people go out and do the services of the driving physically. And also we're right by Salem State College, so we had some kids from there reach out to us that we were able to connect both in person and virtually. And then there are a small handful of high school, like recent high school graduates who are still figuring out their thing or deferring a year, etc., kind of like me. So those are people I either knew or had gone to school previously with and were able to connect with and kind of find some reliable people.
yeah, so kind of just like grassroots marketing, like boots on the ground, and just
Exactly.
that's awesome. You know, another question I had, and I know you said, you know, Marblehead, the bigger companies like Uber Eats and all that don't kind of go that far, but have you had like any interaction with them, or like have they like, or is that, or like, I guess if you haven't, like, what do you think is going to happen when, you know, you start to become bigger and bigger and kind of start to get into their markets? Like, do you have a strategy of how to?
Sure. Well, again, like I said, kind of going back to Calvin's question, like, is it going to be proprietary on you and with Rica's too, or is it going to be kind of just like a guidance thing? And we're really just going to be the platform for these businesses, because what's going to happen is you're going to have all these super small delivery services just catering to a couple towns or a county, however big they decide to build it. And there will be limits on that, obviously. So if you wanted a big company to come after you, like Uber Eats or Grub, it's like, okay, come after Salem Witch Delivery. Like, it's one city.
Yeah.
I mean, they could.
Right.
I'm not quite sure. I'd say hopefully it'd be more of like a partnership and co-beneficial relationship, like symbiotic, but I truthfully don't know. I've thought about it a little bit, but we're still not thinking too far.
Yeah.
Do you see them as a competitor, or I feel like they're in a completely different line of business?
Exactly.
Because you're doing it for very local trade type,
Mm-hmm.
while they're doing it for like Panera, Starbucks, bigger restaurants, or restaurants that are small, but some of them sign up, but usually aren't as successful. I've seen.
Sure. Yeah, I think also a big thing is I'd say I'd see them as potential like future contributors, not necessarily competitors. Because like you said, it's different. What we're trying to do and what we're trying to build is completely different from what they are. And obviously we're like, I don't want to say like many years away from becoming potentially that big, but obviously it's going to take some time, and I think we're going to have a better idea of what that relationship will look like.
Yeah, and once
further
you like
down the
define
line.
your like motto and like what you want your business to be and how you kind of like set everything in stone, I think it'll be more clear for like what like Grubhub is to you.
Yeah.
As like the owner of KYHU.
Exactly, and there are definitely, I mean, one of the reasons that we offer this is because you see the memes. I don't know if you see of like DoorDash drivers throwing the food at the door or the half-eaten burritos that come, and I'm like some of them are real experiences.
Yeah, they're not made up.
Yeah, because these people who are doing this delivery work, I've talked to a few of them just because like I know them. And not because I was trying to poach them to work for me.
Sure.
Hey,
But I really
that's good.
exactly good business thinking.
Yeah.
But I was just curious what the kind of experience is, and they're like, just go, like the food. Hopefully it's ready by the time you get there, and then you just see people come in and
Would you say
grab
they
it and
crowded
go.
crowded delivery like orders for each drivers?
Yeah, I'd say. Well, people, they just want to make money as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about the quality of what's happening or like making sure everything is right, and having clear communication with the customer. It's about like picking it up, clicking a button, driving to the home, taking a picture for evidence, and then running away to do it again.
How do you ensure that quality for like KYHU deliveries?
Well, that's again with the thing like building the team, you kind of have to, like with our delivery business model, you have to ensure that they're doing everything that you would do as if I was just by myself going out and doing the deliveries. So some of the things that we have is there's always clear communication about a rough ETA of when it's going to be picked up. We let someone know when the food is like in the hands of the driver, and sometimes there are little things because we have the ability to communicate with our customers via text or email. If there's a fast enough response, which typically there is, because people waiting for their food, like if you order your food, chances are, unless you're like on a call or in a meeting, like you're like, where is it? You track the driver and you want to see where it is coming to you. We have the ability to ask little questions like, say they got a ham sandwich and a bag of chips. Oh, there's like 3 different types of chips at the place. There's sour cream, there's plain, and there's Ruffles. Like, which one do you want? And that's the little hometown, still keeping it local kind of feel, but really providing quality, because we're charging these people like flat rate delivery fees. Within certain radiuses, and it's not like a super hefty fee, but it's more than they'd probably be spending just for delivery, not for the hidden fees from a third-party service. So we really want to provide that same quality and feeling that they're paying for.
You used to do deliveries too, right?
Oh yeah, that was like 24/7 on call. It was a lot. Our big things are actually weekends. We do breakfast deliveries.
Oh,
So there's this place called Bagel World in
that
our.
to me here.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah. There's Bagel World. There's Kane's Donuts, and they all have like bagels and coffees and breakfast sandwiches. And the amount of people that will pay you good money to get up and have food at their door before they wake up is amazing. In a town of like 20,000 people, where probably with less than 2,000 users, like we're getting 30 plus orders on a Sunday morning to go out and deliver their breakfast. This Father's Day, there's something about holidays that get people hyped up on donuts. Literally, like Columbus Day, I went out and I said like, oh, because we normally just do like Friday through Sunday.
Right.
I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do Monday. Monday, it's a holiday, and Cane's is open, so we'll try that. And I get like 15 orders. I'm like, what is so special about this holiday?
Columbus Day and donuts, man.
Yeah, people are just home being like, you know what I need?
Exactly.
Just eating donuts and watching a good movie.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
they want to treat themselves.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Any holiday, even sad ones, treat themselves. But yeah, like as a deliverer, I bet you've like formed relationships with like local other citizens in your like region.
Yeah.
So, how was it hard for you to like detach yourself from being a deliverer and like to being like a very close, intimate relationship to being just like a business owner, and then I'll also help my deliverers, and then like stepping aside from that?
I mean, I'm usually still involved somehow in the delivery process, if it's not me physically doing them, because as fun as it is to drive around town all day and do deliveries, it can also be a lot. So the way I'm still communicated is like, I still see everything coming up on the system, and sometimes I'll act as that operator doing the communications to the customers, but it'll be like, your driver, Naveed, is at Cane's picking up your order. But I'm just the behind the scenes, so I can still like see and communicate.
Still have control over it.
Yeah, and it's so weird because there have been people I deliver to like 3+ times a week who have been with me for like, who have ordered since the beginning, and I've never met them because it's all contactless delivery is what we do. So as much as I'd love to like hi and give them a big hug or whatever, like thank you for helping pay my school tuition or something like that, I haven't met so many of these people.
Yeah.
So there is that connection, like, okay, I'll always bring you your food, but then it's also, I've never seen you.
Do you have like a favorite customer?
Oh, we have a few. We have a few who are always reaching out. Like I said, like those 3-4 times a week, plus breakfast, plus.
Like on text, do you have like inside jokes? Like, don't forget the mayo again. Like, chickpeas and quinoa.
Yeah. No, but we know some people just, when you order on the platform, again, going with the social ordering aspect, we have some people say like, oh, can I have my regular? Because they get the same thing from Bagel World or any of the breakfast places every week, and I'm like, yeah, like I know what your order is.
I gotcha. Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting.
So one of the things, so obviously here at Hebron, one of the classes we have is economics and entrepreneurship. And so this is kind of all, for all three of you, but why, not a lot of schools, I think maybe now more and more schools are having this type of class, but why do you guys think that like it's such an important class to have in like a high school setting? Like, what have you learned in that class? Like, why is it like such an important part of, especially the Hebron academic?
I think it's like undeniable for the fact that the world is the economy and the economy is the world, and it's very important to like learn about why things are why they are. Like, why am I buying this product, and why is it the most bought product, and why is this product here when I can buy the exact same product for cheap, but why do I not go there to buy it? I think it's very valuable to learn. Like, even my mom taught me, like, she's like, I don't care if you don't want to do business, you have to study at least like as a minor, or just to have an understanding of it, just because it's fun, and it's fun, and it's important, like life lessons that can carry you through, and I strongly believe in that. And I can see like it's really interesting too. It's like you can see like the social aspects and then like corporate aspects, and everyone in our class right now is very like I know for Mr. Bates, our class is a noisy class, right? Like we're at a senior 2 classes, we're at a rowdy class, but you can still see like at our core we're very like interested. Even like one of our specific students who arrives late all the time, he may seem like he's not very focused, but you can tell he's genuinely has like a knack and is very like interested in the material we're learning about, even though he's like distracted half the time. Like it's something I feel like everybody can relate to, because everybody has gone to a store, online shopped, looked at like the stock market and just you know. So definitely. But Mr. Bates, do you think that economics is just as important as like any other subject, like math or English?
Yeah, for sure. Especially just as being an educated citizen, knowing what's going on when people talk about economics is huge. And then for being an entrepreneur, like understanding the market is where you're going to get most of your ideas for what your business is. You know, where is there a lack of demand, lack of supply, what needs doing, what can be done better. That's a big part of what we're working on right now in economics. And then in the spring we're going to move more into the nuts and bolts that you were talking about, that you're learning as you go, which sounds hard. And I guess one of the questions I had for you is like, what if you could only study one, say our class could only pick one, right? Like studying the market, looking for holes, or learning nuts and bolts, like this is how you make a slide deck, this is how you do all these things. Like, is there one that's more valuable if you were to just take a class, like learning how to do it?
I'd say I'd go for the overall approach, like you said, finding the market and knowing where to find those holes, because you can't have anything, like you can't build a business or really get into it if you don't have the ideas to start it anyways. I'd say nuts and bolts more if someone was focused on less of like the entrepreneurship and just working in a larger company to know it. But
kind of like consultant type of role.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
If you're an entrepreneur, you have to nuts and bolts are important too, but like if you don't know your market, you don't know where your idea will land properly on, and how like the idea will work into the market you're trying to approach too. So
exactly. The way I kind of think about that, if I'm making like an analogy, is in math you learn like all your basic principles. You'll learn your addition. You learn your functions of addition, subtraction, division, etc. You'll learn about polynomials, but the way that you actually apply it in the real world is through word problems, which are everyone's favorite, especially when English isn't your first language.
That happened in physics the other day. Mas and I could not finish a question because we were like, I laughed at him. I was like, you've been here 4 years, your English sucks. And I was like, wait, I'm stuck on the same question.
Exactly, like it's the harder, more concrete one applicable to real world situations. So nuts and bolts would be kind of the arithmetic that you do, and the word problems would be finding those holes and what market to go into and how to build it.
Have you ever started a business yourself, Mr. Bates?
I've started a few, none of them really took off.
You want to tell us about your mistakes?
I guess one of the things, and I was thinking about this yesterday in mountain bike practice, because we were going off of jumps and everyone was wiping out, and I was telling them like the best way to wipe out is to not fully commit to going off, right? You have to like fully commit, fully put yourself out there. If you slam on the brakes at the last second, that's how you fail. And I was thinking like, wow, that really applies to business.
That's a good one.
You have to really like put yourself on the line, like throw yourself fully into it, or it's not going to work. If you try to kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's going to fail.
So would you say it was like your commitment to your projects that led to the ultimate like downfall to them?
Yeah, I was trying to start stuff in college, and I was an athlete and a student, and I was being pulled a bunch of different ways, and I wasn't able to fully throw myself in there. So I respect you for like being like, I gotta take some time off school to do this. You know, this is gonna take my all. That's what it takes to have a successful business. Like 100%.
Yeah, and having support systems like my family around and business partner and everything is also really important. So if you were in college and were already being pulled in so many different directions, trying to start something and not being able to give it your all, it's just not impossible, but it makes it 10 times harder.
Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the last thing, and I would love to have everyone answer. So we obviously live in the world of Shark Tank, which I kind of feel like has made being an entrepreneur almost like the new dream job. So anyone that listens to this that's, has a good idea or wants to be an entrepreneur, like, what advice would you give them to continue on their path or, take that path of being an entrepreneur?
I'll step in here. I would say know your limits and know when to divvy up other jobs. Like, know how to divide the work and when you need to. Because in any leadership role, whether as Rica's working as a proctor, like, you're not alone. You have everyone around you, and I was in that same position last year. So you really have to know when you need to take a step back and how to divide up the work, because there are other people there if you can find the right people, obviously. And taking everything on by yourself, you're just gonna crash and burn.
For Shark Tank, I've only watched like 2 episodes from like when Mr. Bates showed it in class. The guy that was like really dumb, that didn't know what he was selling. That guy. Oh gosh. For me, honestly, I think I'm not even an entrepreneur, but just like know your stuff, guys. Like entrepreneurship, know your market, know how to allocate your stuff, know where to allocate your stuff or your like workers, and just have knowledge. Knowledge is power. That's amazing.
I'm getting that on a mug.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, a lot of people have a good idea, and you hear a lot of people, they look at a new business that's come out, and they say, oh, I thought of that, or I could have done that. It's like, well, you didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just did.
And so,
Take
like,
action.
you need to have that confidence and that, just ability to, like, do it. Like, just
Yeah, like I've seen
start
some
it.
really stupid products that are really successful. Like
Yeah.
there's a chair over there. It's for like people who work backstage. It's just like a chair with some texture on it that helps people stay alert. It doesn't make me stay alert. It's just comfortable, but it's sold as a product to help people who are backstage to be alert.
Mm.
So
And
that's
somebody
it.
had that idea, and they could have just said, like, whatever, that's
Yeah.
stupid, it's not going to do well. But
Yeah.
they launched into it, and now there's one at Hebron, and they're probably making a bunch of money.
yeah.
Like, it's cool. So, like, have that ability to say, act on your ideas.
Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank Rica, Katherine, and Calvin for being part of this first episode. It was great. I learned a lot. Hopefully everyone listening learned a lot. And yeah, thanks for listening to Ringing the Bell, episode 1. We're excited to bring this every other week, so stay tuned for future episodes.
Woo.
And yeah, stay tuned.